What's up, Frame Fam? I hope you are all staying safe and well, and thanks for stopping by for another video. Today I have a quick update for you all on the new rumors that have started circulating about an unannounced Ryzen 5 5600 non-X CPU that we could see release in the near future alongside the AGESA firmware update for Zen 3 support in X470 and 450 motherboards. As always, before we dive into what we've heard so far, remember to obliterate that like button if you enjoy the video so YouTube will share it out to others that might like it as well, and of course take all this information I'm about to share with you all with a huge grain of salt. As I always say, nothing is true until it is. With that said, these leaks do come from Twitter user Harukaze5719. I probably butchered that, and correct me if I did, but this user has been pretty spot on in the past, and they claim that they received this information from a foreign source newsletter, and even gives us price and performance targets of this future mid-tier AMD CPU. Now the first thing that stands out to me here is pricing. $220 US for AMD's Ryzen 5 5600 non-X or XT variant CPU, which typically comes in at around $200 like the Ryzen 5s before it, such as the 3600, 2600, and 1600. But it also does cost $80 less than the launch Ryzen 5 5600. Now why that's a big deal is because when AMD recently announced all of the great things coming with their new Zen 3 architecture, they also revealed that their next generation of CPUs will all be priced a bit higher at launch when compared to their usual price targets of previous Zen CPU launches. Some welcome the price increase for the larger IPC improvements, clock speeds, and more advanced architecture that Zen 3 offers, but others have voiced that this is a misstep for AMD, who typically provides amazing bang for your buck options for both CPUs and GPUs. And I'm not saying that these launch CPUs are necessarily overpriced, but I do understand where people are coming from, and I'm sure AMD expected some negative responses from the higher prices for Zen 3, but it looks like they are prepared by offering non-X models of their 5000 series CPUs that will all come with the same Zen 3 enhancements, save of course for clock speeds, which are more than likely to be lower. I personally think that the $20 increase from $200 to $220 to get the majority of what Zen 3 brings to the table is still a great value. It's just curious to me that they would wait a little longer this year to release a CPU model that will be more attractive to a wider range of audiences concerning costs, but it looks like AMD is really trying to stick it to Intel this year as far as performance goes, and they are determined to make an impact with their best CPUs day one. Now this brings us to our next topic of discussion, and that is performance. It is said that the Ryzen 5 5600X can match or beat the Intel i7 10700 in gaming applications, while the Ryzen 5 5600 non-X will target to compete with Intel's i5 10600 CPU. On paper, it's certainly impressive that the 8-core 16-thread non-K series i7 can be matched or beaten by the 6-core 12-thread 5600X, but it's unclear if the games being tested that provided these rumors take less advantage of fewer processing threads over per-core performance and frequencies. And of course, Intel does have their 11th gen CPUs releasing in the near future that might create more of a performance delta here, but it's still really interesting to see AMD coming out strong with each new generation of CPUs. Now, for those of you who are interested in building a new PC or thinking about upgrading might be wondering, when will AMD start to launch these more affordable non-X 5000 series CPUs? Well, as I mentioned earlier, AMD does plan on launching these CPUs alongside future firmware updates for X470 and B450 motherboards slated for as early as January next year. This gives a little over 3 months from the time of recording this video before we will likely see the first of these CPUs be launched. Also, full transparency, we only have word on the single Ryzen 5 model coming with a non-X variant, but I would like to believe that AMD will provide the same treatment for the Ryzen 7 and maybe even the Ryzen 9 as well, but that's all my speculation on what AMD has done in the past and typically does, and just what makes sense to me. But yeah, nothing official on that just yet. But I want to know what you all think about these new rumors, and do you welcome the cheaper and slightly less powerful non-X or XT Zen 3 CPUs, or do you welcome the price increases for the performance gained? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to read what you all have to say. As always, fam, it's been my pleasure. Please stay safe, stay happy, and I'll see you in the next video.